What would it feel like to be truly, deeply happy, regardless of your circumstances? Did you know that happiness is a choice and not a result? That you can create your life on purpose? Join us now to learn more. This is the Time to Rise and Thrive radio show. And here's your host, mindset coach, and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott.
Hello and welcome. Happy Friday. This is our first show of the new year, and I can't tell you how excited I am about this. So happy 2022. I hope this year you experience all kinds of wonderful, juicy yumminess that allows you to shift whatever it is that you want to shift by the end of this year. And I'm just going to say, we are here live every Friday afternoon. So this is a great place. This is a great place to start to shift perspectives and get some new ideas or new ways of looking at things. So I'd love it if you would join me every Friday afternoon. We're here 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, and whatever you can figure out your time zone on Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Jackie Mott, mindset and empowerment expert, and this show is called Time to Rise and Thrive. Now, I don't know about you, but the last few years of my life have been a little bit tricky, a little bit dicey in certain spots. And I am looking forward to a brand new year, this clean slate that hasn't even been written on yet. Isn't that exciting? I'm just loving that. So while you're with me today, I would invite you to just sort of be with that excitement. Now, today we are talking about shine your light. Shine your light. It is a thing that we do where we sort of hide sometimes, or we don't even really know how to do this. So today we are going to be talking about embracing that brilliance and beauty, that uniqueness that only you have, and bringing that into your world in a whole new way, in 2022. Isn't that exciting? Yes. All right. So on Time to Rise and Thrive, what do we do on the show every Friday? We talk about our subliminal soundtrack, and I'll get into a quick explanation of that in a moment. But we talk about our subliminal soundtrack, how to get it working for you rather than against you. We talk about recognizing your unique beauty, your brilliance, the value and contribution that you are to this world and to the people that you care about. Did you know? Because by the end of today's show, we are going to have a little bit of a shift. That's my hope. That's my prayer. We have a little bit of a shift that helps you to see yourself in that space of brilliance and beauty and uniqueness. I get so excited. I got to tell you, Friday afternoons are my favorite time of the week. I love to come on here with you and talk about these things, question things and pull things apart. Just love doing that. So today, here we go. As we move into a brand new year, would you be willing to see yourself as the beautiful, brilliant being that you truly are? Your light is a beacon, but many of us are uncomfortable. I used to be that way. I totally get it. We're uncomfortable with that thing. Maybe it's because you feel like shining your light is arrogant. It's not. Maybe you've been conditioned to believe that hiding yourself is safer, or it's just preferable. Maybe you've been conditioned to believe that conforming is actually the right way to go rather than going out there and just being yourself. Maybe you've been conditioned. I know there was a lot of that stuff when I was young. So how do we go from this position of hiding ourselves into opening up and allowing our brilliance to shine forth? That's what we're going to talk about today. So I told you that I was going to get into this subliminal soundtrack thing. That basically, in a nutshell, it is my terminology for the loop of messages that plays in the back of your mind all day, every day. So that loop of messages is made up of little bits of information that you've gathered throughout the course of your life. So every experience you've had, every relationship, every conversation, every lesson you've learned, every single thing has given you little bits of information that you've gathered together and stored back there on that subliminal soundtrack. Now, we use that information to create our belief systems. So what are we capable of? What are we not? What is possible in this world? What is not? What does it mean to love or be loved? What does it mean to have or not have? All of those things are influenced by that subliminal soundtrack. In fact, it influences every single part of our lives. So really quick sort of explanation that I'm hoping will be really easy to understand. If you have two people who are born into different circumstances, so let's say one of them is born into a family where they don't really have a whole lot of financial stuff, and then the other person is born into a place where they're wealthy family, they never have to worry about anything, everything is available when it's needed, all of that kind of stuff. It's really easy for us to understand how those two people will have a very different relationship with money, isn't it? Because the person who was born into this family where everything is available, they are surrounded by people, they are surrounded by lessons, they're surrounded by conversations that will help them perceive money in a way that maybe it's a tool, or maybe it's a thing that we use to create something else. Maybe we use money to invest or to build or buy a business. Maybe we, so do you see what I'm saying? So many possibilities, but their mindset, because of the people that they are surrounded by the lessons that they are offered within that environment, will have a completely different relationship than the person who maybe they've struggled. Maybe they've lived in a place where it wasn't always possible to have the things that you wanted. Maybe they've lived in a place where they didn't always have, nutritious food or proper housing or clothing or whatever the case may be. Their mindset about money is naturally going to be very different from this mindset about money, because they haven't had it, and they haven't had people in their world or experiences to help them learn a different way of being. So often when we have a person who's born into a situation with limited finances, there are blockages, there are limiting beliefs, there are all kinds of things. Now, the good news is that we can change those things. That's what I do. I work with that subliminal soundtrack to help people pull out the things that are creating the limiting beliefs for themselves, or pull out the things that are blocking them from being open to receive. It is absolutely fascinating. We work with this stuff and we create a new mindset. We create a new way of being with money, with love, with relationship, with whatever it is. We pull it out, look at it, deal with it, heal it if it's necessary to be healed. And then we create the new way of being so that they can move forward with the tools equipped to work toward creating the life that they really do desire. It's so exciting. There are very few things in this world that get me so jazzed as when I can see something shifting for somebody, when I can see them starting to go, oh, maybe, wait, oh, maybe that is possible for me. Maybe, just maybe. We don't have to necessarily jump off the cliff in the first 5 minutes. Do you see what I'm saying? We shift a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. And before you know it, you're in. You're there. You can see new possibilities. It's wonderful. So the most fascinating part of this for me is what we believe to be true will be true for us, even if it's based on completely incorrect information. Completely incorrect information. Think about situations where you've got two different people who have seen exactly the same thing and had a completely different reaction. It happens all the time on social media, doesn't it? You have one person who says, oh my God, that's so funny. And then the other person's going, oh no, that is so offensive. Same piece of information. Do you see what I'm saying? Your perspective, your subliminal soundtrack, your belief system will cause you to perceive things in whatever way that is. So let's work on that in 2022. We have 12 months. We have 365 days to start to shift. And even if you shift just a little bit in that time, you might be amazed what can happen, what can show up, who can come into your world, what opportunities, what doors will open. Yes. So let's get into this. Let's get into this thing. So how this whole thing relates to our willingness to shine our light is, if you believe that you're not special, if you believe that, if you believe that what you have to offer is not top line, wonderful, amazing stuff, if you believe that you are not worthy or deserving of accolades, of praise, of all of that kind of stuff, if you believe any of that stuff, then you're very likely to sort of hide yourself away. And maybe you'll make an impact on a few people in your life because you just can't help yourself, right? You might make a little bit of an impact, but if you believe that shining your light actually allows other people to show up in their brilliance, actually helps you to create a space where you can see and help other people see their own brilliance. If you believe that you were created for a purpose and you are here to do that thing, then you will very likely actively engage in whatever process you have in order to create that mindset, to create that belief system. Now, I call this thing the bulletproof belief in yourself. When you have a bulletproof belief in yourself, you show up differently because it doesn't matter what anyone else says. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. Okay, you can have your opinion. It's not going to stop me. Do you see what I'm saying? So when we develop this bulletproof belief in our unique gifts, in our ability to make change, in our ability to support people, whatever it is for you, when we develop this bulletproof belief in ourselves, we will show up differently. There will be a difference in your energy. There will be a difference in your compassion, your ability to understand where people are coming from, and even to offer grace and forgiveness. Everything will change. I promise you, it is so bloody exciting. So let's talk about all of this stuff. First thing that I would like to say to you. First thing I'd like to say to you is go to jackiemott.com. There is a download of a free e-guide, ebook, whatever you want to call it, that I wrote that is called 5 Steps to Create a Mindset Wired for Success. So in essence, I am giving you the recipe. I'm giving you the recipe on how to pull these things out, how to look at them, and what to do with them. Often people need support, so you can get the e-guide free. There are all kinds of special things coming up this year because I have decided that 2022 is the year that I no longer will hold back. I have decided that 2022 is when I will shine my light. The thing about this is that it can be a beacon. Your light can be a beacon. It can also be blinding. So the trick is to find the people for whom you are a beacon and support them. Don't worry about the other people that you can't. They're not ready. They're not able. It doesn't even matter what it is, but there will be people that will be attracted to your light. And that's the group that you want to surround yourself with. You build your tribe there, you build your client base there, whatever it is, right? Whatever you do. So we are going to really dig in. We're coming up on our first break here. So I'm going to try to get a couple more quick things in before we go. And I'm going to really encourage you, grab yourself a pen and paper. The third segment of the show has become this part where we talk about steps and tips and questions and stuff like that. So very important for you to grab that pen and paper and be ready. And if you don't catch it all, you can always go back and watch the replay. We're on inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Find me, either Jackie Mott or the Time to Rise and Thrive podcast, and you can pull it up at any time. Go back through it, find the place that you want to spend some time, and then make your notes. So those are some options for you. All right. So one of the things that is very, very important in this process of learning how to shine your light is this idea of recognizing your uniqueness. So one of the things that happens is, we are born into a family and the circumstances, and that's how we live our lives. That becomes sort of our normal. And so we don't sometimes understand. But here's where I'm gonna share with you a couple of really important pieces. There has never been and can never be another you. There has never been and can never be another you. Now, think about this for a second. There is only one you that was born into that specific family at that specific time in history, in that city, in that place. Do you see what I'm saying? Now, add to that, there is only one of you that was built into or born into all of those circumstances with your genetics, with your body, whatever, your eye color, your hair color, your whatever it is, your shape, the way your body works, right? And your gifts and your flaws, your gifts and your flaws in that exact proportion. Okay. We don't shy away from our flaws. Our flaws are really the thing that makes us so unique and so special. There are a lot of people out there that can probably play the piano or cook a meal or any number of other things. But your flaws are what helps you to do that. They're kind of like your special sauce. And I know that sounds kind of cockeyed, but it's true. They are kind of like your special sauce because that's the thing that creates the proportion of how you are able to show up. Yes. So we do have to go to our break, but I want you to think about that while we're doing those commercials. You are the only you that has ever or could ever be. Just soak in that for a minute and see how it feels. So you're with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott. Stick with us for just a minute. We will be right back.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Jackie Mott, and today we are talking about shine your light, embracing those parts of yourself that make you unique and beautiful, and embrace that thing that only you can bring to the world in the way that you can do it. Now, while we were on our break, I was just sort of paying attention to what's going on around me. It is the perfect day. Like, you almost have to wonder sometimes if circumstances don't really align for us to have the perfect circumstances. The sun is shining brilliantly. You can see it all over the place. And I was blessed. I have some very dear people in my life. And over Christmas, this guy was one of my gifts. And you see how shiny and brilliant and beautiful it is, right? Absolutely beautiful. So shine your light. You can be like the sun, the sun. And again, going back to that thing where we can be a beacon or we can be blinding. Think about the sun. There are some people who love to be out in the sunlight and absorb it and, revel in that energy. And there are some people who really avoid it, right? So it's okay for you to be whomever you are and allow, like, the sun doesn't care. Go out and enjoy it, or don't. It doesn't matter. It's going to shine anyway, right? So that's the thing. We need to get into that place where we have that confidence, that bulletproof belief in ourselves, so we can show up and it does not matter. It doesn't matter whether you like it or you don't. It's not that I don't care about people. Of course I care about people. And if I'm not right for you, I'm okay with that. That's your bulletproof belief. Okay. That's your bulletproof belief. So right now, I would like for us to talk about some of the stuff that get us stuck in this space of not allowing our light to shine. So the first thing that I came up with every Friday morning, I do a bit of a an outline so that I can kind of think, okay, what do I want to talk about? What do I not want to talk about? And what came really clearly for me this morning is that we buy into these stories that tell us that we aren't special. We buy into these stories that tell us we're just like everybody else. And one of the things for me, and I talk about this, I call it dancing with my demons. So it's those things that pop up when you're about to break through something that kind of they want to hold you back, right? So one of the things that came up for me was arrogance. It's arrogant to want to shine your light in to acknowledge your uniqueness is arrogant. I want to really clear that up quickly. There is nothing arrogant about recognizing and acknowledging. Arrogant is not a personality trait. Arrogant is an attitude. It is an attitude that says that I am better than you because I have, right? I am better than you, or I am more deserving because of whatever it is. Okay. That is a whole different thing than I can see what makes me special. I know who I am. I know what I bring to the table. I know, right? It's a completely different energy. And when you're coming from that place of, I know, there are so many positive offshoots of this. One of the big ones is we recognize ourselves and learn to love ourselves. And when you love from this space of wholeness, of acknowledgement, of understanding who you are and what you are, when you love from that place, it has a completely different flavor. Because here's what happens: you know yourself and you allow other people, you create just automatically this space where it's okay for them to show up, and you can acknowledge the beauty and uniqueness in them, and you can appreciate them in a different way. I am telling you, it is a completely different way of loving. It's a completely different way of operating. So that's one of the beautiful offshoots of this thing. Um, Acknowledging that what makes us special and beautiful allows us to recognize the same in others. One of the other things that came up for me was, I was a chubby kid, right? I was a chubby kid with glasses and so on and so forth. And kids can be really tough on us. Kids on the playground, it's this thing about conforming, right? Like you want to be like the other kids. And I clearly I was not like the other kids. I was never, the dainty, beautiful little girl, and I couldn't be. It's not my physicality. It's not my personality. I was the tomboy. I was the one that they wanted on the team when somebody needed to throw or kick or shoot or whatever it was. I was that girl. I was, strong and sort of sturdy and so on and so forth. So there was no way of hiding certain differences between me and other people. But there were also the things like I was smart and I was kind and I was compassionate. And sometimes I wonder if that, I don't like the word bully, but if that kind of energy that I received for being different may not have actually helped me to soften around the edges in a way that I can create a space for other people. Sometimes these experiences actually result in something beautiful, even if they're really hard on us. Do you see what I'm saying? So this idea of conforming, you want to be in this certain friend group. There are certain things that they do. If you want to be there, then you do these things. If you want to belong to a church, then you follow their rules, so on and so forth, right? If you want to be in this family, then it goes on and on and on. So when you allow yourself to not do that, then your light starts to shine naturally. When you allow the space for you to just be who you be, without judgment, in love, it changes the whole thing. Now, one thing that also came up for me was teams are sometimes, so this may have been a thing for me because I was on a lot of teams. Obviously, I was, that athletic girl. So I was on baseball teams, volleyball teams, basketball teams, all that kind of stuff. And in a team, it's actually encouraged. Do you see what I'm saying? I was a wicked third baseman, absolutely wicked. I could hit first base almost every time, and very little got past me. Very little got past me. I was quick. I moved well. I caught well. All of that kind of stuff. And over the years, I just kept on building that skill, building that skill, building that skill. So by the time I was a teenager, I was really good at third base. So it was encouraged for me to do that, to build on those things. So if you're a part of some sort of a team where there was a competitive component to it, maybe you got to experience that too. What made you a really great person on that team? Where could you step up where other people maybe couldn't? Do you see what I'm saying? So you may be able to go back and draw on some of those experiences where you were allowed and encouraged to stand in your strengths. And if you were, that's a really great thing to pull from. So now we're going to talk about the cost of not doing this, because there's always a cost, whether it's on the positive side or the negative side, the doing or the not doing. There is always a cost. Sometimes there's a brilliant reward that comes along with that too, but there is always a cost. So you may never find or live your purpose. And I want you to think about that for a second. So let's say that you are somebody who is really, really amazing with children, really amazing with children, and you never really get a chance to use that. Maybe you don't have kids of your own. Maybe you don't have work or friends or family members where there are children. So you don't ever really get the opportunity just to use that beautiful thing that makes you so special. Okay. So if that's been your experience, you may never have even seen it yet. Do you see what I'm saying? You may not have even seen it yet. So this is why it's important when we're going through this kind of process of discovering and uncovering our talents, discovering and uncovering them. It's important for us to allow other people to help us in that process. It's important for us to allow other people to support us or to create a space for us where we can talk these things through. So in order for you to live whatever your purpose is, the first thing that you must do is acknowledge. You have to acknowledge those things. And remember, next segment, we're going to get right into it. So there will be some tips. There will be some ideas of exercises or questions you can ask yourself. But you need to get to a place where you can go, okay, I really like this about myself, without feeling like you're being arrogant, because you're not. All right. So we get to this place where we can acknowledge the things that we do differently. When we don't do that, and I think that we can all really understand this, it can cause frustration. It can cause resentment. It can cause all kinds of different sort of problems in our relationships, in our bodies, in our being, when we never acknowledge these things. And I want to be clear, I'm not saying that everybody needs to get up on stage and dance or sing or speak or play an instrument or whatever your thing is. You don't necessarily have to do these things on a grand scale, but you do need to try to incorporate something into your world that will allow you to show up in your brilliance. If this is something that you want to do, if this is something that calls to you, if you have felt stifled and as though you're hiding, you're keeping yourself. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like this keeping myself contained rather than allowing the light to shine. And that requires a great deal of energy. It requires a great deal of energy to hold ourselves back, to not do things that come naturally. So on some level, whether you acknowledge it, whether you realize it yet or not, on some level, you know that you're a bit different. You know that there are things that you're curious about that maybe you're not moving toward. There are things that you maybe would really like to do, but for some reason you feel like you can't, whatever the case may be. You already know it. And that's where that frustration and resentment can come from, not feeling like you have the freedom to explore things, to get to know who you are in a different way. It can cause these feelings of rudderless. You feel rudderless. You don't have a direction. You don't know what to do or how to do it, because you're not clear on those things that are making you so unique. It can also cause illness. Again, like I want to talk about that that like feeling of I have to conform, I have to hold myself back. I can't show up for whatever reason. And, very often there are some very good reasons why people hide. There are very good reasons why we do. Unwanted attention happens when we're children. Sometimes pain and physical abuse have happened in our childhood, and that has caused us to sort of have this idea of, I better not do that again. And it makes sense. It makes perfect sense for that. And you are the person in the driver's seat, and you can choose where and when and how you allow this to happen. You can choose who are the people that are around you. Maybe there was a group of people, and it could be teachers, it could be anything, right? It could be church groups, it could be any number of things, people right within your own family. It could be that those people couldn't quite get it, or they didn't appreciate it. For me, it was, oh, you're too loud. You're silly. You're too silly. You're too loud. You're this, you're that, right? I'm a big personality. And there were people in my life who couldn't appreciate that. And that's okay. They don't have to, because remember, we talked about that. They're not the people that will appreciate and love me in my wholeness. They can't. And that's okay. They don't have to. They don't have to. That does not prevent me from showing up in my light and in my brilliance and in all of my loudness and bigness and all. It doesn't have to, unless I allow it. And that is your power place. You are the one who gets to choose. Mm-hmm. All right, so we're going to head to our next break now. You're with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Jackie Mott. And when we come back, we are going to do that, like tips and questions and stuff. So make sure that while we're on a break here, you grab yourself that pen and paper and stick with us. We'll be back in just a moment.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? Our subliminal soundtrack plays in the back of our minds 24/7. It's filled with everything we've ever learned about money, relationships, body, and sexuality, about every single aspect of our lives. If you don't have what you desire, the Subliminal Soundtrack Reset program may be the very key to changing it all. In this 8-week program, designed by Jackie Mott, you'll learn to replace messages that stop your desires with new ones that not only support you in creating what you truly desire, but expand your life to higher levels of joy and pleasure. Go to phoenixcoach.ca today to sign up and begin creating your life on purpose.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott, and today we are talking about shine your light. embracing that unique, beautiful brilliance that only you can bring to the world, only you bring to the table in the way that you bring it. This is a thing, seriously, this is a thing. It is so important for us to get just a little bit of clarity on that. And once we get a little bit, then we can do a little bit more and a little bit more. Some of these things are not all that easy to change, but we can do it a little bit at a time. Baby steps will still get you there. Baby steps will still get you there. So I want to just share with you. I told you at the top of the show, we were talking about the 2022 and what this is going to be. I have so many ideas. So I'm working on creating some new programs. There is going to be very, very soon in the next week or two, I'm going to offer a masterclass, which is called Believe All Things Are Possible. We're going to be doing that. It's a free webinar masterclass, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to try to schedule it either on a Sunday afternoon or, on an evening so more people can get there. Go to Facebook, find Jackie Mott, Mindset and Empowerment Expert, or email me at jackie@jackiemott.com for more information on that. I'll get that date and all of the details out there within the next couple of days. And we're going to get together and we're going to talk about this. What could you create? You have 12 months, you have 365 days to shift your mindset. What could things look like at the end of 2022 if you allow yourself to just shift a little bit and a little bit and a little bit? What would you like to create for yourself? We can do something. Well, it's all up to you. We can do that. We absolutely can do that. And it's up to you to make that choice. So find me on Facebook, send me an email. I'll give you the information to join me for that free masterclass. And then we'll be talking on there about some of the stuff that we'll be working on throughout the course of the year. It's very exciting. It's very, very exciting. So now let's get into this thing that we're talking about today. So how do we do this? How do we do this? This uncovering, this discovering of what makes us unique and beautiful and special. And I'm just going to say right at the beginning of this, there are lots of people out there that can help you. Lots of people. Obviously, I'm one of them. Lots of people out there that can help you. It can be a process where we need different perspectives. We need support in order to release certain things, whatever it is. Sometimes we need some help. If you are someone who needs some help with this, there's no shame in asking. There's no shame in asking. Join me. Join me Friday afternoons. Every Friday afternoon, we talk about something that helps to shift a little bit. Do you see what I'm saying? That helps you recognize these things about yourself. They don't have to be expensive. If money's not an issue for you, there are things that you can do that cost money that will help you shift even faster. So yes, find me, join me. We will work on this throughout the course of this year. I am so excited to see what my world looks like next year. And it's to see what I can help create for other people, what I can help them open up. This is going to be an amazing year. All right. So the first question, now I'm going to suggest that you journal these things. Okay. I'm going to suggest that you maybe do some meditation, go for a walk, anything that helps you to get into a really quiet space where your mind isn't racing and where you can just kind of breathe and hear the things that are there for you. Okay. Hear what you are trying to tell yourself. And, some people would believe, okay, it's the angels or my guides or God or whatever it is, that quiet voice, because when our minds are racing, you can't really hear it. So get yourself into that quiet space. First question, what makes me unique and special? Now, this is your opinion. Okay. What do you think when you think about who you are and your interactions? One of the things that happened, I'll share this with you. When I was really young, I became a mom when I was 17, and there were a lot of other small kids in the family at the same time. So we get together for, Christmas or for Thanksgiving or whatever the case may be. And we called my bust the magic pillows, because there was something that happened. If there was a baby over there that was tired or cranky or whatever the case may be, they would give that baby to me, or that little one to me, and I would bounce them on my knee and cuddle them. And within about 5 minutes, with their head resting right on this magic pillow, they would just be either very calm, very relaxed, or fast asleep. It took about 5 minutes. So we called them the magic pillows. So think about those kinds of things in your family. What are the things that people look to you for? What are the things that happen that you know is different than it happens for the other people? What makes you unique and special? Second question, what do I do that people tell me I do differently? Really wonderful exercise to do with this is to go to your people. And I encourage people to do this. I get so much pushback. I don't understand why, but find 10 people. Now, 10 people who love you. They see you. They see you and love you, not the people that see you, love you, and go, yeah, well, you should be doing this differently, or you should, or you should, or you should, right? You're too loud, Jackie. Don't, not those people, not those people. We want the people that see us in our brilliance. Okay. Find them. If you don't have 10, find 5. If you don't have 5, find 3. If you don't have 3, then call me because we've got some work to do. Okay. But 10 adjectives. So you're going to tell them, I have this exercise that I was asked to do. Somebody gave me some homework. Whatever, however it works, you're going to take the pressure off yourself. Somebody asked me to do this exercise, and I was instructed to find people who could give me this 10 adjectives, please, that you would use to describe me. Give them a bit of time. Okay. Give them a bit of time. And one of the things you need to be aware of is often not everybody is going to respond. So when I was asked to do this exercise in one of my coaching certifications a few years back, it was a big, intense one. When I was asked to do this exercise, I actually think I reached out to about 15 people because I knew that there were certain people that wouldn't take the time and certain people that would. Okay. So I wanted to have a number of different perspectives because, like in any other survey, the more data you get, the more answers you get to these questions, you can start to see the similarities and you can start to see the differences. Okay. And I also want you to be very, very prepared that you may not necessarily like everything that comes back. Okay. And that's okay because it's data. It's data that's going to help you to perceive yourself in the way that you are showing up in the world. That is the brilliance of this exercise. So you get these 10 adjectives, and then you can see, okay, so all of these people, or 5 of these people, or 8 of these people told me that I'm really funny, right? Or 5 or 8 or whatever the number is said I'm kind of short tempered. Maybe that's something you need to work on, and that's okay. Or maybe you really like that about yourself. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with anything, but getting that, it's like the empirical data because it's coming from outside of yourself. And we can only perceive ourselves in a certain way because we don't see ourselves in action. So it's important to get those perspectives from those people that are outside of us in order to get a really clear idea of how we are showing up in the world, not how we think we're showing up in the world. Okay. So the next question, what do I do that feels completely effortless? So let's go back to the magic pillows. I would take that baby and I would just, cuddle them and love them, and they're out cold. It felt completely effortless. Okay. So what do you do that feels completely effortless? Fourth question, how can I incorporate more of that into my life? Do some research. If it's a thing where you'd like to switch careers or you'd like to open up new avenues in learning or whatever it is, what can you do to do that? When I was a teenager, I learned sign language, and there was this part of me that always thought I might be a sign language interpreter. So I don't know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I found one of these courses that you go like a couple of nights a week or whatever it was. And I went and I played with that. It wasn't a good fit for me to go in that direction in my life at that time. But how could I incorporate? Well, I did a bit of research and I found this thing and tried it out. Try it on and see if it fits. Try it on and see if it fits right now in your life. Because sometimes we shift and change and things just aren't the right fit right now. Step 5 is take action. So this is where you can really start to see, again, the sign language ESL class in the evenings helped me to see that it really wasn't the right direction for me at that stage in my life. There's another quick story I'm going to share with you. And that I love horses, love to ride them, love to brush them, love to play with them, love horses. Okay. So I had this idea in my head that I'd really like to have 2 or 3 horses. And that was there for a long time. So when I took action, I had a friend, a colleague, whatever, that had 3 horses. They had 3 horses. And I said to her, "Oh, I'd really love to come out and, help you with some brushing or help you muck the stalls, something, play with the horses, that kind of thing." So she called me up one day and I went out to her place out in the country. It's cold as cold can be, like that bitter cold where your toes and your fingers are frozen solid, even though you're wearing warm stuff in minutes. So I go out to her place and all of these horses, because of the time of year, it had been sort of damp and wet and frozen and damp and wet and frozen. And we go through those cycles where I live. So these horses had gotten themselves so muddied up and then it dried, right? It dried and it's too cold to use water because they might get sick. So it was necessary for us to take different brushes and whatnot to get this, like, brush this dirt off of them as well as we could, get it out of their mane, get it out of their tail. And I tell you, when I drove away from that place, what I discovered about myself was I really want to have 2 or 3 horses, and I want to have somebody who can do that stuff for me. Do you see what I'm saying? So we discover as we try things on to see if they're still a fit or if those ideas actually work for us. We discover whether or not that really is a good thing or a direction that we would like to go on. So take some action. You don't have to jump into registering for a university course or whatever it is. You don't have to take action that far. Try something that allows you to incorporate just a little bit, just to see. Take that night school course, go and help a friend with their horses, whatever it is for you. Go and see, volunteer a little bit of your time to make sure that this thing is actually a direction that you would like to go in. Go and do it and then make up your mind. All right. You're allowed to change your mind. Try it on and see if it fits, and then change your mind if that's the appropriate way to go. So I'm getting the finger from Christine. Thank you, Christine. It's time for us to go to our last break. So you're with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott. When we come back, we are going to wrap up this conversation about shining your beautiful light. Stick with us for just a minute. We'll be right back.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? Our subliminal soundtrack plays in the back of our minds 24/7. It's filled with everything we've ever learned about money, relationships, body, and sexuality, about every single aspect of our lives. If you don't have what you desire, the Subliminal Soundtrack Reset program may be the very key to changing it all. In this 8-week program, designed by Jackie Mott, you'll learn to replace messages that stop your desires with new ones that not only support you in creating what you truly desire, but expand your life to higher levels of joy and pleasure. Go to phoenixcoach.ca today to sign up and begin creating your life on purpose.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott, and today we are talking about shining that brilliant, beautiful light that only you can bring to the world. It's so exciting. It's so exciting when you really get to understand this, when you really start to understand who you are, what you can do that no one else can do. You really start to understand that. It is so exciting. It's so interesting to hear ideas about what you might like to change, what you might like to do. And as I said before, when you start to embrace this thing that is so unique and walk in your uniqueness, that bulletproof belief in yourself, when you have that, you show up differently, you love in a different way, you create beauty and creativity and all kinds of wonderful yumminess. You create that stuff simply by being, simply by walking into a room. So the one thing that I'm going to, don't often do this, but Marianne Williamson, mm, this one is on my wall. This one is in my heart. This was one of the moments that changed everything for me. She says, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God, and substitute there whatever works for you. You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in every one. And as we let our light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Now, again, that is Marianne Williamson. That is one of the things that shifted things for me, and something that I actually have tried to incorporate into the way that I be now. So you can find that online. There are beautiful images. And this is one of the things, I've got stuff posted all over my office. You can see some of it behind me. There's all kinds of it all over the place. So again, hiding yourself, hiding your light. We used to call it hiding your light under a bushel. I think in Sunday school, way back when I was a little girl, hiding your light under a bushel serves no one. It serves no one. You can bring something magical to the world that only you can bring. And that's what I would encourage you just to try that on, just to play with that and see how it feels. Yes. And if you need help with that, I'm here. There's all kinds of other coaches, counselors, programs. There's so much stuff out there. But again, I'm going to encourage you to find me on Facebook, Jackie Mott Mindset and Empowerment Expert, or contact me at jackiemott.com. And I'll get you some information about what's available, what kinds of costs are involved, if any. Again, in the next week or so, we're going to have that Believe All Things Are Possible. And that is absolutely free of charge. So get a hold of me and we will talk. We will see what we can do to work together to start to shift your 2022 so that at the end, you can be looking at your life and going, wow, isn't this amazing? Yes. All right. So we're right down to the end of the show here, guys. Quote that I would like to leave you with: stepping into your brilliance requires courage. It may require you to change things in your life that will make some people uncomfortable. It may even require you to let certain people go simply because you're no longer a good fit for each other. Let them go. Acknowledge their contribution to your life and let them go. When we start to let our light shine, the brilliance will be blinding to some, but it will be a beacon to others. So that's what I've got for you today, my friends. Thank you so much for being with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. We will be back next week, Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 Mountain, and 10 Pacific. Next week's show is going to be brilliant. We have Ranchelle Van Brace will be with us. She is just, she is amazing. So she's going to be with us. We're going to talk about her starting over story, what she learned from that, and what she has done to create a different life for herself. She's got an amazing story. I can't wait to share her with you. So thanks again so much for being with me today. Thank you for sharing sharing your energy, sharing your time with me. I love it so much. I am here for you. I would love to support you if you're trying to make some of these changes in your world. And I've already told you where to find me: Facebook, jackiemott.com. So again, thank you. I have enjoyed this hour with you, and I look forward to seeing you back here next week. Don't forget, you are allowed to shine your light. There is no arrogance in that. And it is time for you to rise and thrive. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for joining us for Time to Rise and Thrive radio show. Jackie Mott will return next Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Have a fantastic week, and remember, it's your time to rise and thrive.